So today the day has finally come where I am going to organise my desk. Why? Because tidy desk, tidy mind. Now if you're like me, I'm a bit of a clean freak. I like to keep stuff organised. I always like to put things where they should be. I've spent the past year working at this desk and it's kind of got a bit of a mess. I knew it needed sorting out. I've just got wires everywhere. But sometimes you have to prioritise other things in your life. But I've finally got the time now where I am going to sort things out. I know when you look at my desk, it's not like the messiest desk in the world. But to me, every time I come into this room, I look at the floor, I see all the wires, I see all the space it's taken up. When I try to do something at my desk, I'm like, oh, I can't do it because this is in the way. To me, it really affects the way I do things in this room. So I've ordered a load of stuff off Amazon. I'm gonna go through and then see the before and after. And it's just things like this microphone that I have here. The wires are not tidy. My monitor is on the desk. My laptop is just placed on the desk. I want to raise it up. My lights take up a lot of room on the floor. So I'm gonna get them up off the floor. And yeah, so we'll just see how it goes after I've had this coffee. So my very first step is going to be, I need to clear the desk. That's going to involve me taking everything off it, unplugging all the wires. We're going to start from scratch and it'll just make things a bit easier. Nice blank template. Oh, So as you'll see here, I'm about to move my monitor. I am pretty swole, so this is really a two-person job, but because I work out quite a lot, as you can see, I managed to lift this all by myself. Oh yeah, but don't try that at home, because it's very dangerous. This is one reason I need to get everything off this desk, is because it's so hard to clean it when it's covered in shite. Special desk cleaner from Aldi. Just kidding, it's disinfectant. Could do this with water, you could do it with anything, who cares? Not me. Job's a good un, job's a good un. Now while this table's empty, I'm just going to show you what's underneath it. I don't actually have casters on this desk, but it is my intention in the future to get some. I don't have them today, but I'd like to. See, I've painted this wall grey. This wall is white. Eventually I'm going to change things around so that I can just turn the desk based on the type of video I'm filming. So I just recently painted my wall grey just to give me a different background, but it also does a better job at with my lights in the background. Kind of makes the colours look a bit richer. You can see before when I used to use the white background, it's a bit more faded versus using the dark grey. And with me having 3 of the white walls, it's like sometimes it's good to move my desk depending on the type of video I'm doing. Although I have such a small space, it allows me to have multiple backgrounds. I do have other plans for the future. I also, not very interesting, but finally put some curtains up because I have blinds, but they let a bit of light in, which can be a bit of a, what I call nightmare when it comes to filming and the light changing. So just having some curtains, especially because it gets red hot in this room, makes a huge difference. So I need to find out, I think these just come off. I can't even remember where I bought this desk from. I think it was IKEA. IKEA Trotten, if anyone cares. IKEA Trotten, so you can buy casters to go in there, which is what I'm going to do. So I've had a small disaster. I ordered some casters, and as you can see, I wouldn't even use these to build a Lego house with. They're tiny, but when I was watching this video back, I was like, actually, why don't I just take them, what's already there on the bottom of the desk, unscrew them off, and that gives a flatter surface. And because it's carpet, I don't think wheels is a good idea anyway. So I'm going to take them off and then see if that's actually easier for sliding the desk. We'll soon find out. At this moment in time, everything is on my desk. But what I did was manage to lift it up enough to unscrew the thing that goes into the bottom of the stand and come off pretty easily. And then went round, took them all off. Quite dangerous, but I survived. I don't know how I didn't die during this process. But as you can see, without them on, it does actually slide a little bit better. On the carpet, it's probably not great for the carpet, but it's a lot easier to move it than when it had those things on. I don't know what you call them. Let me know if you know what they're called in the comments below. Now the good thing with this desk, it's actually a standing desk, so it goes low like it is now if you're really short, but it also comes up. The problem is I got a manual one and you're about to find out why that's a problem. It's not really a problem, it just takes a long time. Just come on. Speed run. That is as high as it goes. We'd never have it that high, but as you can see, it is a standing desk. I don't use it because it takes forever to go up and down. So, this isn't going to be one of them aesthetic type videos where everything looks really cool. I wish it was. This is more somebody on a budget who is looking to just declutter, clear the mind. So the first thing we're going to look at is one of my biggest bugbears is my camera is on a tripod. In this room, you can almost touch the walls. It's about 2 meters by 1.5 meters, very small room, my office. So having the tripod on the floor actually takes up a lot of space. What I want to do in the long term is to be able to move my desk, use different walls. So I have here what I call it's like a thing you put your camera on. So I'm going to take a look at that now. So this is a heavy duty camera arm, and basically it's just to get my tripod off the floor. Got a small room, it's one of them things when you want to hoover up. Not that I do that very often. It will allow me to have my camera off the floor and I'll be able to move it around. You can also use it as an overhead camera, but it's not really something I need at the minute. So I also picked up this under the desk headphone hanger. It's just something small, but so annoying when you have to leave your headphones on the desk. They take up a lot of room and it just literally sticks under the desk. It looks like that, it's just a piece of plastic. So the next thing I'm going to look at is this laptop monitor mount, and it's basically just to get my laptop off the desk. Don't have a huge space and I don't have a long desk, it's about that wide, so just wider than arm's length, and with my monitor and my laptop and everything else I have on my desk, something that'll be able to lift it up and I should be able to push it out of the way. And the good thing with this is it comes with a mount which in the future I might be able to attach a monitor to if that's the route I go down. So next up I have these aluminum/aluminium stands for the lights. Probably the most exciting thing because my lights take up a lot of room on the floor, so I need to get them up. Seeing these online on Amazon, I was like, that's such a good idea. All you do is literally, as you can see, your lights go on there, or you can put whatever you want on, attaches to there. This can just move around whichever way you need, I assume. Kind of like a tripod, but for your desk. That is the first success, getting rid of 2 of these floor stands because they take up a huge amount of space on the floor. So basically what I'm going to do now is use some cable ties just to tidy these wires up. I know you can get special clips to do this, but I've got thousands of these lying around the house. I'm going to try the smaller ones, try and hide them as best I can. I'm not going to do them too tight because obviously sometimes I may need to move the lights up and down, and we'll see if these fit. That's probably going to be too small. Nothing's ever easy. Just to keep the wires around the back so it kind of hides them from view. That's all I need to do. So I'll trim the ends off these when I'm done. This next one is a mystery because I've totally forgotten what it is. Oh yeah, so it's for my cable management. Just something to hide my plug. License to drill. So the first thing I had to do was remove all the chewing gum from under the desk. JK,
JK. What I had to do here was mark under the desk, put a little pen mark to see where I was going to drill, and it turned out to be quite complicated because I've only got 2 arms and I need to put the pen up there, hold that up, and it was the same when I was drilling, as you'll see.
Yeah, so it's a bit tricky to decide where to put it. I don't want to put it in the middle, further back, because I may end up moving the monitor slightly at some point, or some of my other things. So I'm thinking if I put them online with where the clamps are, if I ever want to move any of these in the future, it's not going to get in the way of that. Might cause an issue with the cable kind of wrapping around the back of the desk, but we'll see. I don't know why I'm looking over there. I've only been doing YouTube for 13 years. So let's go.
So it never ceases to amaze me that I can still actually use a drill. It's quite an achievement and I was pretty proud of myself. The next step was to sort the wires out the back. This was a lot more complicated than it probably needed to be. It's still a bit of a mess under there because there's so many wires going into it and the plugs. And later on I needed to use a bigger USB plug and it kind of didn't fit, but I managed to make it all squeeze in because I also put in the 2 like power packs from my lights. I'm sure somebody will say, oh, it's not very safe. I wasn't sure about it, but it did all manage to fit in anyway. And there's a lot of holes under there and stuff, so there's plenty of airflow.
So another minor issue that I've already had is these little stick-on things here that I'm holding my cables up with are coming down, which I had a feeling would happen. So what I'm going to do is drill through the plastic with just a little screw, if you know what I mean. Just to try and keep that on. It's just annoying, but what can you do? So this goes on my desk. It's my Focusrite. I plug my microphone into there by the XLR and my headphones, and I do all my recording via that usually. At the moment I'm using my USB. Although you can't really see there, if you see the size of my desk, it's taking up space on the desk. Got these clips. They cost next to nothing. What I'm going to do is drill these under the desk, mount it there, and it'll just give me a bit more room on my desk. Don't you just hate reading instructions? I mean, how difficult can it be to touch these 4 pieces of plastic to my desk? No, I've got to read instructions. I'm going to do it because I'll probably regret it if I don't. My advice would be, if anyone gets a Shure microphone, you get the USB version. It's good enough as it is. You really don't need XLR. This is probably my biggest regret, although I do have some things that I use this for as well. Maybe in the future, I'll start a podcast. Just kidding, just kidding.
So this bit took me a lot longer than it probably should have. I think nearly an hour, which for drilling in 4 bits of plastic was way too long. But if I can do it, you can do it. Sometimes it can be scary when you're thinking, oh, using a drill and these kinds of things, as long as you're not getting involved with electrics and water, should be fine. It took me a while because I was kind of unsure of the position. It was a little bit fiddly doing it on my own, and also constantly changing the drill bit to the screwdriver bit and those types of things. But don't ever be put off from trying doing something yourself. DIY, and I think even Jesus Christ was a carpenter. If he can do it, you can do it. What we have here is another out of focus video for your viewing pleasure. What I'm doing now is just routing my XLR and my USB wire through the, I want to call it trunking, that's not the right word, through the camera arm, just to tidy it up. If you remember how it looked before, it was a bit of a mess, and this is what the end result looks like, thanks to the magic of time travel.
So last, I have my monitor arm. You'll know what one of them looks like, the stand of my monitor. It's an LG Ultrawide. I think it's like 49 inch. Maybe. I can't remember. I've always wanted a monitor arm. Need a heavy duty one. A lot of people recommend the Ergotron. It costs about double the price of this. So this is Amazon's, well, it's the top of the list on there. It's kind of their basic version of that. And it's an absolute bargain. So I'm going to get my monitor and everything, start sorting the desk out. We'll open this now, see what it looks like, but I get the feeling this part's going to be quite complicated.
Again, this is probably something you don't want to try on your own. What I'm doing now is lifting the monitor up. I've got to put it onto the mount. I've already taken the stand off my monitor. This is definitely a 2-person job. Obviously, as I've said before, I am extremely swole. I'm just kidding. And then what I do is just screw this one, it kind of hooks in onto the monitor, and then there's just a little tiny screw that you screw in by hand to keep it in place. The tension hasn't been adjusted yet, so obviously the monitor's kind of just staying down, the arm's staying down on the desk, but there's little screws where you can adjust how far the monitor will swivel, and you can tighten them, add tension or reduce the tension, and I basically need to get it so that the monitor will stay in its place. Quite simple, you'll see what I mean. So what I then did here was to unscrew the screws from the monitor arm and ran the cables through there. It really helps to keep the cable mess that was behind my desk before, keep it a bit tidier. I did run into a small issue where the wire was a bit short, but once I moved my USB to the other side, it fits fine. Ideally, I'd have a USB hub or dock, whatever you call them, but they're just too expensive for my budget. So the first but most important test is, does it pass the easy to clean test? Pop these up. One minor annoyance is this wire, but eventually, or maybe when I get my longer cable, hook that behind there just to hide it. And as you can see, it's going to be much easier now to clean the desk. So this is the end result. As you can see, my desk looks much tidier. One thing that's quite cool is, while I don't have a huge desk and I don't have a lot of space, now that my monitor is on an arm, I can move it to the left and have a different space working facing that way. I can move it to the right. I can push it far back against the wall if I want the monitor further away. I can move it closer to me if I feel like I need that, and sometimes I do if my eyes are getting tired and like, oh, I can't see anything. So yeah, lots of different working just by moving the monitor onto an arm. All the wires have been cleared from the back, and my lights and everything look much better off the floor. My camera is now off the floor. My headphones have a place to hang. I know what you're thinking, look at that big wire hanging down. That is intentional. I do still have the one big power wire, which has gone from all my different plugs plugged in here and there to just one wire that if I need to unplug and move my desk, I can do that quite easily. I know it's probably something most people don't do, but when you work from home, and I do all the time, sometimes you might sit working for a bit and you're like, actually, if I feel like if I just move, I'll be able to get a lot more done. And I do that a lot, so that's just something where it's like, I don't want to get that wire clipped into the wall or under my desk or anything like that. I just want to be able to unplug it, move it to the other side of the room, and that's why it is the way it is. If I could go back to the start, what would I change? Well, first of all, I probably would have tried to get it all done in one day, because it took me probably 2 weeks from ordering everything. It was a lot to deal with mentally, the stress, the thought of like drilling stuff, the thought of doing this bit and then having to take that away. I didn't plan it out, so I had to move things multiple times. Really, what I should have done is been like, get up one morning, spend the whole day doing it, and then it would have been done. But it was really hard just to face doing it. But I'm glad it's done now, because I've got so much more room. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I've never really done a video like this before. I was like, this is something that's annoyed me for such a long time, how untidy my desk is. If you'd like to watch my next video, then please do so. I need to get out of this room because it's red hot. Do subscribe, and I'll see you soon.